And we're back for another episode of the Department Podcast with Justin Valentovic, Stephen Clark, Jesse Norman, and Joe Paolantonio. It's Wednesday, but it's time for the NFL Week 5 recap just because we had a few extra days of football because of the COVID-19 and the NFL. They're starting to panic, but we had Tuesday Night Football between the Bills and the Titans, and you would have thought the Bills would have been the team to get wiped out for COVID for 2 weeks because they got absolutely shellacked, but we'll get into that. But guys, what's going on? How's it going?
All right.
Good. I mean, Tuesday Night Football. Don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, well, no Thursday Night Football this week. This is our sort of replacement for it. So, it's whatever. You got to do what you got to do to get through these games in the season. So, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, so with that being said, we're going to jump into week 5, and we started last week. We did draft style. I had the first overall pick last week, but we're going, I guess that would be counterclockwise. We're going Clark now. So, Clark, you're on the board. Where do you want to go first? What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about one of the most surprising, maybe not surprising, but one of the most shocking, surprising-ish games of the week. The Raiders and the Chiefs, because the Raiders won. The Raiders beat the undefeated Chiefs, and Derek Carr looked finally like a franchise quarterback. And Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs did not play too well. Their defense is showing that they ain't too good again, and that's the story of the Chiefs the last couple of years. Not having a good defense and all that fun stuff. But hey, the Raiders are legit. I was questioning it a few weeks ago, but the Raiders are legit, and there's a battle now. There's a battle there.
Yeah, it's a battle in the sense that they're actually going to make the West a competitive division, and the Chiefs have to look over their shoulders somewhat. Yeah. Are the Chiefs going to win the division still? Yes. Are they going to run away with it though? Probably not. But also looking at the the teams in the West, the Broncos, the Chargers, the Raiders. The Raiders were the team trying to build themselves like the Chiefs as best as possible. And we saw that take full effect with Henry Ruggs being the deep threat, similar to Tyreek Hill. The running back kind of being like how Edwards Helaire is not as much, but Jacobs is that sledgehammer running back. And Carr, he was pushing the ball downfield and
finally
going toe-to-toe and taking the shots downfield, what he's really hasn't taken, if we're being honest, since when he pre-broke his leg in 17, 18, give or take. And, this is another time where it's like, oh, Derek Carr needs to stay a Raider. But then who knows, next week he lays eggs. It's like, all right, well, he's not the guy for long term. They're going to trade him. That's going to be the career of Derek Carr with the Raiders. And right now, I still think they're a year ahead of schedule. Maybe one or two more good drafts, what they've had, and then they'll really be a threat to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But they're breathing down the necks. I think this puts them on the Chiefs' radar at least.
Yeah, another reason why he can launch the ball downfield now is having Henry Ruggs. Like, Henry Ruggs is really good, and having him healthy and on the field helps so much. You don't have to – they also have a franchise running back we can't forget about, too. Josh Jacobs is the man down in Vegas right now. So, props to them for drafting well, and I hope to see him succeed. I really do.
Yeah, they've really hit on pretty much all of their draft picks. Yeah. And that's a huge part of their building. And I mean, as far as it goes, I think it's pretty funny that, for whatever reason, some analysts were talking about Denver possibly being the second team in the West. And Denver is the far and away fourth team by far in the West. But the Raiders, I think, are years ahead of where they should be. They have a lot of picks moving forward, and they have a lot of skill at a lot of positions and a lot of depth that they're going to be able to fill in the draft. And they're probably, maybe a couple moves away from being a serious contender for up there with the Chiefs as a divisional, stalwart pretty much up there.
Joe, what do you got?
I think we have kind of the recipe to beat the Chiefs. It seems like over the last 2 years, there's a lot of teams that try to get very cute, very fancy. The Raiders really stuck to what made the Raiders become like the Raiders. They aired it out. I mean, they relied on the big play after big play, and I think that's going to be the recipe for the Chiefs. You're going to have to score, and you're going to have to score pretty quick and early to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's very impressive what Derek Carr was able to do on Sunday. But make no mistake about it, this Chiefs team is still the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Far and away. I think this says a lot more about the Raiders than it does the Chiefs.
This
team can lose any week.
This very well could be their only loss of the season for the Chiefs, if we're being honest.
I mean, they did look beatable. Even like some great teams that have gone 14-2, 15-1 that we've seen. Like when they lose games, they don't look that beatable, but they still lose them here and there. The Carolina Panthers come to mind. They were 15-1, but even the game they lost, they still you kind of had the aura of like they're unbeatable. This Chiefs team, like you can see how in a big game in the playoffs, a team could get there. A Josh Allen who has a big arm. Maybe, you could see how a team with an explosive offense could tag them if they're on their right game.
See, and I'm glad you mentioned Josh Allen, though, because that's who they play next week. And I also think that might have had something to do with maybe why they weren't as prepared for the Raiders. Because let's be real, the Raiders aren't going to, fight with them for a number 1 or a number 2 seed. The division is still wrapped up and division games always play hard.
Yeah.
But if they can take the Bills out, who at this point, the Bills were 4-1, going in to the game and everything, that's in contention with the Chiefs up at the top of the AFC. So that game, I think, means more to them than this Raiders game. And they can start planning ahead, I think.
Well, and that's the thing. Before, Tuesday Night Football, and we'll get into that game when we get to it, Josh Allen was an MVP candidate. So you're going to look ahead and game plan for the MVP potential player rather than the Oakland Raiders, who are amidst the rebuild. And really, last point on the Raiders, me especially, I killed Gruden for, trading off Cooper, trading off Mack. But what that did was they're hitting on all their draft picks, and all their draft picks now are cheap and productive. So they have money to burn if they wanted to, also to really supplement, any holes they have in free agency.
Well, absolutely. I think the Amari Cooper trade was an absolute win. I think even when that trade was made, it seemed like Gruden was kind of had a plan. This is it. I mean, it really is beautiful. This is a textbook example of what happens when you invest in the offensive line. It took them a few weeks to get it together, but if this unit can play like they're playing, you're going to see the Raiders right in there. It's going to be a crowded AFC. I think we're looking at potentially 3 teams from the North, so it's going to be tough for the Raiders to get in. Can they do it? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're certainly capable of it. But with that, let's move along to another game. Jesse, what's your pick for the first round?
It's got to be Sunday Night Football, Vikings, Seahawks. And, the tale of two halves for the Vikings just looked so in control through the whole first 2 quarters. And it really just took the Seahawks like one really good sequence to just fluster the Vikings and just fully take the game from them. And they didn't look, this is the sign of a good team. The Seahawks didn't play well for basically 3 quarters, and they still won the game against what is still, while I've been very critical, they have a talented roster in the Vikings.
Yeah, they're a lot like a few games we'll get into. They are restricted by who plays quarterback.
Yeah.
They are one of the many teams that are limited by their quarterbacks, and they don't ask them really to do much. And when Kirk Cousins is asked to be called upon to do something, he can't come through.
Well, and in the first half, he looked good, and the Vikings were rolling, and they were beating the Seahawks, who is right now, to me, a top 2 team in the NFC. And they played so good for 3 quarters, and they couldn't close it out. And Russell Wilson is quite literally the best closer that there is, I think, in the game of football. He is like Mariano Rivera out there. He is the best, most clutch player in the NFL.
So then I guess the Super Bowl at the goal line was his 0-1.
He made the right call. I'm just saying it was a pick play,
Justin made it funny.
Russell Wilson, as of right now, if you're telling me you need one quarterback to have one game-winning drive, you're not picking Russell Wilson?
Andrew Luck.
Not playing football.
Active.
Yeah,
if I have one quarterback to get me one play for a touchdown, I'd pick Mahomes.
Now, Another takeaway from this game, DK Metcalf solidified himself as a top receiver in the league from this game. He is, if we talk about the best deep threats in football, Tyreek Hill and then DK Metcalf, 1A and 1B.
And then you also have Lockett on that same offense, who's another burner.
Yeah.
I mean, they're stacked. Their offense is stacked.
And Metcalf, he runs like Tyreek Hill, not as fast, but he gets downfield and gets separation, but he's built like Julio Jones.
Insane. It's not fair. It's literally just not fair. Plus, when you don't even have to rely on your run game while you're doing that, because Russ can run the ball if you want. Plus, you also have Chris Carson too. So it's just like Jesse said, you're stacked on offense. There's no reason why this team shouldn't go to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl.
And the defense is gonna get healthier. Jamal Adams still not.
The next time they take the field, Jamal Adams will be there.
And they're already undefeated still. So
it's you hate to do this. But if we zoom out just a tad bit, they played twice on Sunday Night Football. And both times, if the other team just gained 1 yard, they would be 3-2 right now, which is very scary.
But they're not.
Of course, Russell Wilson looks fantastic.
This is
that's the team.
Fantastic.
They don't collapse
lose those games. Like everybody wants to say about the Seahawks over these years, oh, they win a lot of close games. You can't keep expecting them to win a lot of close games. No, I do. I expect them to win these close games because that's what Wilson does. That's what Pete Carroll does. And their defenses bend but don't break. They've done it for 3 years now. Everybody keeps saying eventually they have to start losing these close games. Why do they have to?
But until
they
that happens
so far.
But until that happens consistently, it won't prove me wrong. Like, they're gonna be a clutch team. And it's really come ever since the Super Bowl choke job at the end. Is really what they've learned.
Super Bowl choke job. I mean, ever since the Super Bowl choke job, they've had little success in the playoffs. They have not gone far at all. So, I mean, I'm not going to say
the NFC Championship game or divisional. That's still
divisional.
That's still
and then
pretty solid.
The Packers team, I think they could have beat the Packers.
They should have beat. If they played a terrible half.
Yeah,
if
they absolutely could have beat the Packers.
And also, if David Moore doesn't drop a wide open ball in the
middle
of the field,
they beat Josh McCown in the first round. It's like,
well, that's the past.
I'm not blaming them, but
McCown looked better than Wentz.
Act like they made far. I'm not going to say they like.
McCown played better than Wentz did that game. When Wentz went down, he was playing like garbage. The offense played better with McCown.
They put up like 9 points.
All right, let's get back.
They had 0 with Wentz.
I just gotta let him tire himself out, Clark.
Yeah.
So let's get back on track, though. On the Vikings, though, I think Kirk Cousins will be the death of Gary Kubiak and Mike Zimmer in Minnesota. Yeah. Not because of them, but just because, you don't blame the quarterback right away. You blame the coaches if there's any ill success. And Kubiak's going to be the first domino to fall, probably by their bye week if they still haven't won, and then Zimmer at the end of the season. It's as simple as that. And they're tied to Cousins. They could have let him go. But they just had to re-up.
Yeah, it sucks.
I mean, there are games where we could absolutely just trash Kirk Cousins. I don't think this was his worst performance. No. It wasn't his best. It certainly wasn't his best. But this really a lot goes on the fact that the defense really just couldn't hack it. I mean, they faltered heavily in the second half. But I mean, the Vikings offense looked like pretty methodical multiple times during this game. And I mean, Madison instead of Cook, it's all the same.
Well, and that's the blow that's going to be is how well are they going to be able to run the ball if Cook is out an extended period of time is really the big question mark. Because after that, Jefferson is a good receiver, Thielen's a good receiver, but Cook is the engine that makes their offense go. At that point, they run to set up the pass with him. But with that being said, let's pass things along to Joe. What game you want to talk about?
So we had both great games. I was going to go with the Monday night game, but now looking at it, I have to go with a game that turned out to be outstanding. Last night, Saints-Chargers. It was looking like potential blowout for a little while there, but I think something clicked there. And I'm not saying Drew Brees can still sling it because he can't. He's not playing like this great quarterback. Taysom Hill still made, they put him in the biggest play of the game, but he showed me something. I mean, Breeze showed me that there's still something there. I'm not going to write him off yet. No. And they didn't even have Michael Thomas, and this was their decision. So, I mean, the injury's not to blame there. Mike Thomas did not play. They intentionally sat him out. If they needed him, I don't think he would have been sitting out for disciplinary reasons. There he was. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders finally did something in that uniform. So, I mean, that's good. But on the flip side, though, I'm not going to make this about Breeze when Justin Herbert went toe-to-toe with him for a good amount of this game. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
And that's just been the story of Herbert's season. He went toe-to-toe with Mahomes, toe-to-toe with Tom Brady, and toe-to-toe with Drew Brees. And quite frankly, all three of those losses, not really on him.
Not
at all. Michael Badgley makes a kick at the end of this game, they get a win. Tom Brady, if the defense can actually make a stop for once, they don't win. And same thing with the Chiefs. If they can contain Tyreek Hill and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or at least one of them, they could win that game. Herbert is going to be special, and he has done a phenomenal job. And quite frankly, Tyrod Taylor has been screwed every which way humanly possible in the NFL from getting a starting job. And this is just another time where, he's not going to get his starting job back, and it wasn't because of his play.
Yeah, I think this also speaks to how bad of a system Oregon was for Herbert. I mean, they made him look so much worse than the prospect that he is. And right now, looking at what he's doing in the NFL, it reminds me a lot of what Lawrence looks like in Clemson. And Lawrence, I think, is the consensus number 1 overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
So Herbert's good, and he's special, and that Chargers team is really banged up, and he's keeping them competitive. So the Chargers could be a scary team next year. And again, looking at the AFC West, the Chargers are going to be good for probably a long time. They have their franchise quarterback. The Raiders have a good front office and a good coach, and the Chiefs have already won the Super Bowl. What is Denver going to do?
Nothing. They're going to stick with Drew Lock and continue to lose games once he gets healthy. That's it. Good for them. Good for Herbert. I like Herbert a lot. He's really I can't really talk more on this. You guys
Herbert's
talked enough.
in a Burrow situation where his team is just screwing him out of wins.
Yeah. And that's expected. I mean, from
they're rebuilding
a top
teams.
16. But again, the Chargers are so banged up, and they always are every year. They're so banged up every year.
And it's always like the same players too. It's always Bosa. It's always Ingram. It's always now it's Chris Harris. It's just it's always defensive players, and that's always been the issue for the Chiefs. The Chargers is their defense.
I will say this about the Chiefs. I do feel bad because Anthony Lynn's time is going to be up, and Justin Herbert is going to thrive with another coach. I don't think Anthony Lynn stays, and he got outcoached pretty poorly on Monday. That was the Monday.
That was Monday night, yeah.
Yeah, that was Monday Night Football. He got outcoached pretty well, but he's done such a good job, I think, of building this system, building this team. Because when he took over, in spite of ownership woes, he has had a pretty good career, but this is going to be it kind of for him. Now you compare the Saints now, who are back tied with the Bucks, first place. You look at how Brady played without Godwin, and we'll talk about that, versus how Breeze played without Michael Thomas. You're going to have to compare these guys throughout the year, but it looks like the Saints are getting it together. Meanwhile, the Bucks cannot be a consistent offense.
But also the Saints do have Alvin Kamara, which is so lucky for them. If Kamara gets hurt,
he stepped up as the best all-around back with McCaffrey going down.
For sure.
I would argue right now with the Josh Allen loss from Tuesday night, and besides Russell Wilson, MVP candidate wise, I think Kamara's got to be number 2.
He has to be in the conversation.
I think he's got to be number 2, or at least number 1 as non-quarterback. For me,
for sure, number 1 for non-quarterback, because even the candidates last year, Mahomes and Lamar, they're not up to par this year. They're really not. I think you put Kamara at 2 overall. Rust and Kamara, I'm 100% down for that.
I would put Aaron Rodgers obviously in the conversation.
Rodgers too.
Nobody's going to give Rodgers an MVP because he's already.
No, it's like the LeBron situation.
Yeah,
they're just not going to do it.
It's the voter fatigue. We got to give it to a guy that hasn't had it before.
So moving things along now, I got the last pick of the first round, and I don't want to talk about the game as a whole, but rather a significant injury that came out of this game. It sucks that we have to talk about it, but may as well get to it now. The Dallas Cowboys still beat the New York Giants 37-34, but the terrible news coming out of it is that Dak Prescott's ankle was absolutely obliterated. He's out 4 to 6 months, and it's just shitty circumstances is really the best way to put it. Playing on the tag, perfect on off the field record, great player on the field in the locker room, and this is how he basically gets repaid by his franchise with having no financial stability long term. It sucks that this is this is the shitty part of football.
Hopefully the injury isn't as bad as speculated. It didn't. I still think a break in any situation is better than a tear. So it's better than he broke his ankle than, maybe tore his ACL or Achilles. The 4 to 6 month timetable puts him right back in, when training camp would start, or like months before training camp would start. He would have all the time to rehab. So I think Dallas is going to franchise him again, see what they have in him this year, and then possibly extend him if they want to. But this is a bailout for Dallas. They now don't have to extend him because they can franchise him and get away with saying, well, let's see what he looks like coming off.
And if they franchised him again, him and his agent should work out every possible way of getting him out of there as soon as possible then, because you can't run this risk again, especially coming off an ankle. What if his mobility isn't quite there? That's part of his game that is then decreased and his value went down. Kirk Cousins got lucky for being able to play on the franchise tag 3 consecutive years and never getting hurt. He lucked out. This is the other flip side of the coin where it doesn't work out. And quite frankly, if after this injury, Jerry Jones gives him a franchise tag, that's a slap in the face to Dak.
Yeah, because he's proved time and time again that he's better than that. He deserves a big payday. He's a top tier quarterback in this league. He's just proved it time and time again. And it's sad that this one little injury, that's not little, but this one injury is going to define his future career from here on out. It really could. But like you said, Justin, if they want to franchise tag him, he should get out of there because there are plenty of other teams that would be willing to pay him the big bucks to start for them. Exactly us, Justin. We'll pay him the big bucks. We have the room for it too. So we're one of several teams that would.
But on the flip side of things too, looking at Joe, what are you gonna say? Because it's probably
it's just sad because we were about to see. I mean, you want to talk about him as a guy who's going to make tremendous money and a tremendous guy on and off the field to talk about the adversity that he's faced. But I mean, as far as pure football, we were about to see a 5,000-yard season from Dak Prescott. We were about to see him have like a career year and really prove everyone that he could sling it.
And that's the thing. What was the biggest knock on Dak? You don't know if he could win the game with his arm, and he proved 4 times this year he can win games with his arm.
Well, and they won those games with Zeke not being able to really be in it because they got down so quickly, and we're down usually 2 touchdowns by the end of the first quarter, so they couldn't run with Zeke anyway.
But Andy Dalton has taken the Cincinnati Bengals to the playoffs. Andy Dalton is not Cooper Rush. He is not Alex Tanney. He is not some backup Brian Hoyer. He is a legitimate starting quarterback. So I don't think anyone's going to count out Dallas considering the division they play in, but Andy Dalton played really well in the fourth quarter, and I don't think that got enough attention.
Yeah, no, the Cowboys offense, any quarterback I think could thrive in that offense with all those weapons.
It's similar to a plug and play of like the Chiefs, how you can literally throw anyone in there and they'll get people open.
The biggest question is going to be, can Dalton win any shootouts that aren't against the New York Giants? Because I mean, the Cowboys defense, nobody's walking through that door to help them unless it's maybe Earl Thomas, and allegedly he's really out of shape.
And he would have been. That's the thing. He would have been signed by now.
He would have been signed already because this defense has been so abysmal. But you still, again, you can't count him out of the division because it's so bad.
Well, and that's the thing. Looking at the Giants, who are still in contention, 0-4 or 0-5. Daniel Jones, he's got to hold on to the football.
How crazy is it? The Giants, if they won, division contenders. Not that they lost first round pick. It's crazy.
Oh, it's night and day with how it works.
How big
you're jumping from the first overall pick to like the 17th pick.
That's crazy.
With the Giants, I love moral victories. I think you guys could tell that I love to hand out victories and losses, even if the people who didn't win and lose. You know what I'm saying? I like to hand out moral victories. The Giants are the kings of moral victories, and this game was a moral victory for them. They really hung in there on defense. I think Jason Garrett's something started to happen there finally. It's all about Daniel Jones. I think that if you get just a slightly better quarterback in the system, things like the Giants could have something here.
Yeah,
I like the way they play with a lot of heart.
But I don't see the Giants moving on at quarterback. I just don't see it.
No, they're tied to Daniel Jones at least for 2 more years, just from the flashes. Well,
and the issue is
Gettleman is tied to Daniel Jones.
Yeah. But
are they firing Gettleman anytime soon?
We'll see. I mean, that's it. I mean, if they lose to the football team on Sunday, there's going to be a conversation.
Football team.
Yeah. So let's keep this conversation moving. Clark, 2nd round, first pick. What do you want?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is where we're starting to get some not too many fun games.
No, we'll mix it up a little bit. Go a little game no one really cares about. But Bill O'Brien is gone in Houston, and they get their first win against the Jaguars. Good for them. They looked okay. They beat the Jags. It's not much of an accomplishment beating the Jags, but a win's a win. Any given Sunday, a win can happen. Yeah.
Well, it's especially if the leaders of Watson and Watt wanted to get rid of Bill O'Brien. This is the perfect FU win on the way out. They win it with Uncle Romeo Cornell.
Like an easy win. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times has Romeo Cornell stepped in?
Too
be
many.
An interim head coach, and for the Texans, I feel like he's stepped in to be the interim head coach for the Texans 3 times.
Didn't he step in when Kubiak had his?
Yes,
he collapsed.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Dude is old, man.
He's the oldest coach now. He's 73.
Wade Phillips used to be. Yeah.
In sports, there's a lot of guys who it feels like they've been around forever, but then you look and they're not actually that old. Brandon Cooks. I'll talk about this for a second. It seems like he's been around for longer than I've been alive. 8 catches for 161 and a touchdown. I mean, the guy he's got to be, talked about a little bit more. He's becoming like a Frank Gore type, how like you just kind of look up and it's like, oh, he's had a nice little career.
Yeah.
Good for
it's because he's been shipped around so much.
Yeah. But to good teams, good teams.
Well, that's the thing. It's good teams that wanted
but
him.
It's good teams that keep trading him though. like every team, every couple of years just keeps flipping him for other assets. But good for the Texans. They got a win. Watson's good. The franchise hopefully is going in a better direction for his sake.
I'm just happy they got a win with that Bill O'Brien. I mean, it's fun.
And Jesse, you said it before when we were playing Mutt Squads. Bill O'Brien, the GM, got Bill O'Brien, the coach, fired.
Yeah, and let's also be clear about that. Bill O'Brien, the coach, wasn't fantastic. He still was helped a lot by having Deshaun Watson.
Well, he was the king of sitting on the ball the second half and waiting for the clock to run out, and hopefully you could still win
with like a 10-point lead. Like he just stopped.
He was the king of phoning it in.
Even with like not good defenses, he would try to phone it in and just run 3 straight downs. But I mean, we've already hit on it before. The trades, the signings.
It's not worth rehashing.
I mean, look at the Saints and the Rams and how many people they've paid, and then you look at the payroll, and the Texans still have the most. And they by far have one of the least talented teams across the league.
But good for them. They had a win.
So Jesse, we'll keep it with you. Last pick before we take a break. What do you want?
Chase Claypool, 4 touchdowns, ladies and gentlemen, against the Philadelphia Eagles. Wow, I thought that secondary was supposed to get better with Darius Slay.
Guess not.
Woo! And just like that, the Steelers have another young wide receiver
not drafted in the first round,
picked out from the mid rounds, and just they're just so good at developing them. They're just so. Deontay Johnson goes down with an injury. Rookie Chase Claypool steps in, gets 4 touchdowns. Oh, they also have this guy there you might have known named Juju Smith-Schuster, Eric Ebron, Vance McDonald, James Conner, and pretty soon they're probably going to be signing Le'Veon Bell if we all think about that. So
Ebron's not good. He doesn't need to be in that conversation.
Fine for
He's
a
been
second
fine.
tight end.
He's been good enough.
Ebron's good with good quarterbacks. It's
Hall of Fame level quarterbacks. That's it.
Yeah,
literally. Steelers are the team to beat. That's all I mean, they're the team to beat. They're the hottest team in the AFC. They're the team in the AFC right now. Not the Chiefs, not the Ravens. Yeah, they are.
Oh,
they really are.
I'll say
this.
Are they the undefeated
team? Yeah, they are.
Yes.
No,
the Titans are. Yeah,
that's
okay.
right.
Titans. Yeah.
I still think the Steelers are the team in the AFC to beat. They're like top tier AFC championship contenders right now.
And as of right now, just looking at the team, they're built to stop the Ravens. If you watch this team play, you can't run on the Steelers.
Well, and that's what's funny. It's like you see the Raiders building to beat the Chiefs, and now you see the Steelers literally building just to beat the Ravens, and that's how you have to win: is beat the best team in your division.
Yeah. The Steelers' run defense is absolutely insane. The secondary has taken a step back from last year. I don't think anybody's going to argue against that. Minka is only one man in the secondary. He can't make all the plays.
Well,
Nelson's taken a step back. Hilton's taken a small step back. But the front seven.
Well, the thing is with Minka last year, he came in playing like a man possessed, at such a high level that, to recreate that right away, is a lot to ask.
Yeah, he wanted to prove a point. Like Miami, you gave up on me basically. Here I am starting out for Pittsburgh. So
and then on the flip side for the Eagles, Wentz continues to make mistakes.
He just looks mentally broken.
That being said,
so bad.
What are they doing? What are they giving him? I mean, who was that receiver that had 100 yards? Like Fulgham? Who's even heard of this guy?
But the thing is,
that was the best performance I've seen by an Eagles wide receiver in.
I agree.
Deshaun Jackson.
At least
his first stint with him. It must kill Eagle fans to see Nelson Aguilar just catching 60-yard bombs from Derek Carr in Las Vegas.
Yeah, he never did it in Philly. Just dropped balls
when they made it to the Super Bowl, he was not the guy that they had last year. Super Bowl Aguilar fell off a cliff after that season. Kind of feel bad for the guy because he's hated in Philly. He can't even walk down the street anymore.
No, they did. They hated. He tried. He dropped so many passes.
Travis Fulgham was a 6th round pick last year.
Nice, good for him.
If you get Fulgham, Rager, and then. It's possible eventually this is like a
2nd round pick in JJ Arcega-Whiteside just sitting there.
But here's my thing. And here's my thing. They're trying to work in Jalen Hurts as like the gadget quarterback, which hasn't worked yet, by the way.
No.
It just hasn't worked and probably will never work because you need a good passing quarterback to set up the gadget quarterback. And right now, Wentz isn't that good quarterback to set up the gadget play.
Yeah, but this is a loss on the defense for the Eagles. You let a rookie wide receiver come in and
look like Calvin Johnson.
4 touchdown passes against you. Oh, and I mean, Deontay Johnson even went down. The number 2 receiver is out. And they couldn't get anything.
And bringing
this is
up
what I like.
Yeah.
I see at the end of the game, Ben's been great with this, but it cannot be understated how Ben has the ability to audible, change plays at the line, to really bring that veteran leadership. I think that's what gets lost in the shuffle because outside of Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger is really the only veteran presence at quarterback for contending teams in the AFC. That's really it, and that's such an
And Rivers is a weakness on the Colts.
Yeah, we'll get into that game.
So Ben's strong leadership has been gone. I completely agree. Has gone so under the radar.
This is not because I was not really a Ben fan. I think as a quarterback you have to become a leader, and I don't think Ben ever was a leader. But lately, I don't know maybe he had time to reflect.
I think that year off
it helped.
Really, I think that year off really helped him. I really think it did. I think he found a lot more joy back in football than he did before, because he
Him and
said in
Aaron
multiple
Rodgers.
interviews, Ben said in multiple interviews, for the past like 2 years, even that 5,000-yard season, every time he threw the ball, like he was in pain, like his elbow was hurting him. So I think taking that step back and really just being on the outside looking in and seeing how terrible that quarterback's room was without him really just made it apparent that they needed him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, him and Rodgers both impressed me. I mean, as far as just like them as people, as leaders, standing up this year, I really love what I've seen out of him.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll finish up the rest of Week 5 of the NFL recap. And we're back for the second part of the I don't know, whatever. But we're back for the second part of the NFL Week 5 recap. We left off with Joe, who your decision.
No, it was
what do you
me.
want to talk about? We left
I
off
went
with
last,
Jesse.
Joe's
We
next
left
pick.
off with me, and now Joe's next.
Justin pulled the stupid.
Pick your words.
I pulled a funny before, now I pulled a stupid. But Joe, what game do you want to talk
Hi,
about?
Justin. Hi, Justin.
Hi.
You had a parade when the Yankees got eliminated
Makes no sense.
on Friday. So I think I'm gonna buy a Myles Garrett jersey and just leave it on your porch. Oh my goodness, Phillip Rivers is embarrassing. It's so funny.
There's
so
a
funny.
difference for coming at a good team and then coming at a bad team. Like it doesn't do any.
Who's the bad team?
Last week you
We're
guys
the
were like,
bad
"Oh,
team.
last week you guys go, oh, the Colts, the Colts, the Bears.
we looked nice last week. We're not a top 5 team in
Football
the
is
league.
a week-to-week basis sport.
Yeah, the Yankees
And
are
this
supposed to be
week,
consistent,
my-
but they said they choked against the Rays.
Let's
You
just
guys said I
Anyway.
think Phillip Rivers really has a shot to be.
Okay, let's talk
Shot-
about
shot- shot to be what? A quarterback?
Let's
Yeah,
talk
quarterback.
about old man Uncle Phil. He
He's
sucks.
not my
Okay.
uncle. He's not my uncle.
I'll put it this way: he can't run,
Correct.
can't improvise.
Can't throw.
He can throw, just not accurate.
He
and
throws like he's throwing a
he-
shot put.
Yeah, I don't know
like-
how. It's like a dart. But this game proved why in the current NFL you can't have statue quarterbacks, and this is the prime reason why they are a dying breed, because you can't get out of the pocket. What, Joe? What,
With
waving
that.
off?
He's gonna put up
I can't wait till he's
350
back.
yards against the Jaguars, and then you guys are gonna come on here and they're gonna be like,
He-
oh my god, Phillip.
He already did that and lost.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's gonna do it again. And then you're gonna be like,
Well,
because you did the same thing with Jacoby last year. You did the
Well,
exact
at
same
least,
thing.
at least our
Once
quarterback
every-
holds on to the ball here and there.
One
for too long.
Like I'm gonna defend Daniel the dog Joe. Like I care about Daniel Jones. Last year, once a month, Jacoby would have a good performance, and Justin would walk around with his head so high and his shoulders cocked back, like he is the greatest.
Great. They beat the
honor.
Chiefs in Arrowhead.
It's ridiculous. Isn't that the game
Clark-
where Matt Moore had to come in?
No, that was the
Oh,
other
it was
week.
the game after.
Clark, that was the game we said we broke the Chiefs, and then they went on to go win the Super Bowl. But but this is what it's going to be with a 38-year-old quarterback. 1 week you'll look great, and then the next one, oh my God, get him out of there. And quite frankly, we talked about before where Kirk Cousins is going to kill the coaching staff in Minnesota because of his ineptitude and inability, and Phillip Rivers is the other quarterback because he is such a hindrance, and Frank Reich is having the bedside manner and basically treating it like it's hospice with him, like how it was with Adam Vinatieri, where he
Yeah.
doesn't want to disrespect him on the way out because he doesn't have it. But at the same time, you gotta blame him
Frank's too nice.
because that pick to, I don't even know who, it kept sounding like they're saying Rodney Harrison. And if that, like, I think that's
Denzel
actually, it wasn't Ward, but it was Harrison.
Was it
Ronnie
Harrison?
Yeah, but it kept saying like they're saying Rodney, like, you know, the old Pat safety. But it's like that had a negative 2% chance of ever being completed. Like that throw was not getting in there. That was a stupid decision, and this is what we're going to have to deal with next week. Hopefully, it's a better game because it's against the Bengals. But you know, and then the following week, who the hell knows? It's going to be a week-to-week basis with the Colts, and with the Titans coming out and absolutely blowing the doors off the Bills after not playing football for 2 weeks. I'm not as confident anymore of them winning the division.
Yeah,
I think the Colts might not make the playoffs.
Very possible. It all depends on Rivers. It really does. They have everything else. It all just depends on Rivers. If Rivers is crap like against the Browns, they're not making the playoffs. But if he's great like he was against, well, he wasn't even great. He was average against the Vikings or the Jets. Then maybe.
That's the thing. Listen to those teams that he was good against. The Vikings and the Jets.
You're right. No, you're right.
When they have to play legit teams and you have to try to hide your quarterback.
It's just Rivers too, because the defense contained Kareem Hunt.
Any other quarterback, they're winning this game.
What was that?
Well, the problem
Odell
was,
had a fun time.
Okay. The problem is the Colts' zone defense was getting picked apart by Baker Mayfield.
Yes,
and they never made any adjustments.
Yeah,
but on the flip side, they couldn't run the ball until they had to, and they got ripped off a 28.
And apparently, the Browns were this run-heavy team that can't be stopped.
This game would have been a lot more ugly if they had Nick Chubb. If we're being honest, like this would have been an absolute slaughter fest.
Probably.
So. I have this from Wikipedia. So in gridiron football, intentional grounding is a violation of the rules where a passer throws a forward pass without a realistic chance of completion. This typically happens when a quarterback is about to be sacked past the ball through an area, or Myles Garrett was breathing down his neck. So the rule actually was invented in 1914, and I understand because that's when Philip Rivers was in middle school, so he probably was distracted. So I just want to let you guys know there, because Colts fans are having a tough time with that one. Dang, that was not intentional.
Talking about this,
Chapman blew saves back-to-back years too.
Whatever.
The fun fact from Wikipedia.
My fat ass could run away from Myles Garrett faster than Philip Rivers could, if we're being honest.
He can't run. I'm not joking.
He can barely walk.
For every 5 steps he takes, a defender takes 1 step. He is so slow. He is.
Yeah.
He is the slowest quarterback in the NFL.
I think if you had him run a 40, I think he'd run a 7-second 40.
Oh, yeah.
Joe would be faster than him, like how Joe said he was faster than Lamar Jackson.
Just as fast as the Yankees got out of the playoffs.
I did not say I was faster than Lamar Jackson. I said I was faster than Pat Mahomes.
There we go.
And you didn't give me any time to train. They gave me they put me in inclement weather.
We ran in like the spring. Wait, Joe, weren't you supposed to run the 40 around now this time?
COVID-19, Justin. If you want to come out, if you want to come out and interact with me in person, then yeah.
Justin going out in public, never heard that one before.
So let's move things along. Joe took a shot at my golden boy of a quarterback, let's say. So let's take a shot at his golden boy of a quarterback. Talking about a team that was an embarrassment at quarterback, at least Philip Rivers could finish the game. What happened to Jimmy G in San Fran, Joey? Had to get pulled for Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard, or whoever the hell they can scrounge up at quarterback. 43-17 to the Dolphins?
Nick Mullins, and he just came back too after rest.
This game was set up perfectly for Jimmy G.
They had George Kittle too.
For Jimmy G to come gallivanting back in, the golden boy. There's no quarterback controversy in San Fran. He's the answer. He's Joe Montana. He's going to save the franchise. And he shits the bed.
Oh, they had George Kittle. They had George Kittle.
If they had George Kittle.
Yeah, but you were saying weeks ago, they didn't have Kittle. That's why they're not going to be winning. Kittle did great the week before. But he did great this week too, but didn't help him that much when your quarterback is very lackluster.
It was an embarrassing game. Jimmy G played poorly. I don't know if it's because of injury. We could just say that every year, Ryan Fitzpatrick will have a game where he plays like the second coming of Christ. It's just a shame that it had to happen against a team as talented as San Francisco. But again,
Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't hold them to that little points.
Ryan Fitzpatrick isn't out there playing.
Jimmy G didn't play the entire. Jimmy G didn't play the entire second half.
That's why. It wasn't like he was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna take it off."
They didn't want to risk him injury. That's what they said. They said it was not performance related.
Yeah, so they just punted on the game. They were like, we'll just lose this one.
They admittedly punted on.
Meanwhile, the Rams and the Seahawks and the Cardinals all won this week in their division.
I love it.
I just don't understand the cockiness of the Niners. They just think they can walk into the playoffs in the toughest division in the NFL.
They have had quite a bit of injuries. I don't know if Jimmy G's healthy. We're gonna see. I mean,
if he wasn't healthy,
I'm not going to be that crestfallen about an injury to Miami when they're all the pieces are coming back together like a beautiful puzzle. And I'm not going to write this team off.
I really like Brian Flores. I think they have something special with him there as a coach.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool game. It was nice.
Like they were playing.
I just want to see Tua, so I kind of hope that Fitz doesn't play well anymore. I just want to see Tua tackle well. That's all I really care about with the Dolphins this season.
But if they're in a
so Fitzpatrick continues to play good.
Like if they're in the playoff hunt, they might keep him in the whole season. Like, and I
playoff
thought they were
Schmayoff hunt.
But see, I thought they were just gonna have like this should have been the last game for Fitzpatrick because you looked at who they played, and those are defenses you didn't want to coming off a devastating hip injury to face. So it makes sense to throw Fitz out there and potentially get absolutely murdered. Now moving forward, we should see Tua though. Like that's we all agree on that.
That'd be nice. I'd like to, but
I still think we'll see him by like week 12, week 13-ish. I think Fitzpatrick does always have a clock, and it usually strikes midnight around week 10. And I think Miami will give him a couple more weeks, and then
that's it.
They probably pull the plug there.
So let's pull the plug on this round. First pick in the third round. We only have about 6 games left, and these are games that let's just blow through because, oh Nelly, these were insignificant games on either end of the spectrum, really. So Clark, where do you want to go first?
Bengals, Ravens, I guess. It was just brutal all around. Oh, that's a little glitchy. All right. No, but it was just not fun to watch. Like, even granted, the Bengals got murdered in this game, like completely just murdered. The Ravens, I guess they didn't have to play as hard, but they didn't look too hot either. But I guess the
Ravens haven't like slowly this year I don't understand how a team that won the AFC North last year has the easiest schedule in football. Literally. Doesn't make any sense to me. But
North as their division.
Yes, don't understand it whatsoever, but sure. And then you look at the games they played, and like they've won in convincing fashion, but they have not played great under any circumstances.
The defense has kept them in games to when Lamar hasn't been at his peak.
I mean, he hasn't been at his peak this whole year,
which
I'm not worried about it. I'm sure they'll turn it on when they need to.
His MVP year, like his MVP season last year was special. Like anyone to replicate that again, that's impossible. Like
and I don't think they have any intention to. I think they're quite literally sleepwalking through this season.
And that's almost why they took Dobbins, was just to add another running back to just limit the shots Lamar could potentially take, and they can just power run the ball and get out of there and not have to run up the score. Like we were seeing them put up 50 pieces every fucking week, it seemed like.
Well, I can't wait now for them to play Pittsburgh because I think it's going to be a great benchmark and to see where both of those teams are. Because if the Ravens come out and just curb stomp Pittsburgh, I mean, it's kind of obvious Pittsburgh needs to get their stuff together when they play against good teams. Because they haven't played any real competition so far.
Well, and also
Baltimore also needs to come out and realize they're playing a legit team.
Well, and let's also talk about that matchup whenever that happens. I don't know when it is, but both defenses are rejuvenated with the defensive player of the year and the defensive rookie of the year on both of their teams, being TJ Watt and Patrick Queen. When that matchup happens, it's going to be a battle of defense. Like they're going to have to put another slideshow in of another injury Ben might sustain at the hand of the Ravens because of that rivalry. But, this talking about Burrow, he was going to hit the rookie wall eventually, and he just ran into a buzzsaw of the Ravens defense.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Well, that's the thing. Like, no offensive line. Like he was doomed from the start. Like he was going to fail this game. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Like
there was no way he was going.
Like I'm not going to kill him just because it doesn't accomplish anything. It doesn't accomplish anything. Like this was the expected result. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. It's just it. I mean, Joe Burrow. I mean, you could say it. He didn't play great.
But this should have been a wake. I mean, granted, the whole season should have been a wake up call for them to draft offensive line 1 through 5 in the next draft. But this should have been, get the tackle from Oregon and move up.
He's literally the next Andrew Luck. He's gonna have to retire early because of injury.
Watson, Burrow, and Wentz are all on the fast track to being lucked.
Yeah,
but the difference is Wentz had a top 5 offensive line pretty much every year he was in the league.
Burrow has a bottom 5 offensive line. It's sad. It's sad to see just because all the potential that's there. Burrow can do it all, but he can't do it all on his own.
Yep.
Yeah.
And with that, Jesse, what do you want to talk about next?
Give me Panthers Falcons. And Dan Quinn is out, ladies and gentlemen. And somehow the Atlanta Falcons offense made the Panthers defense look somewhat viable. And they're not that good at all. The Falcons are a bad team.
They suck.
They're just that is my just takeaway from this game. That's really all I have to say. The Panthers aren't a good team, but God, the Falcons are just bad.
Yeah.
That's it. They're just bad.
And here's the thing. Quinn should have been fired this offseason. He should have made it to the season in general, if you ask me. But this was the beginning of the wrecking ball to come. I think we see Julio potentially on the move, maybe Matt Ryan. Like, this team is going to be picked apart this offseason, I think. And this, and it was funny because Matt Rule, he gets coaches fired. It's kind of like the funny takeaway from this because Cliff Kingsbury played him in college, lost, got fired. Now Dan Quinn played him, lost, got fired. And at this point, the loss is just straight up on coaching and being ready. He got out coached by a rookie head coach in his 5th game in the NFL.
Yeah, this was a tale of two coaches. Matt Rule, young, exciting, a new era. And then on the other side, you see just pretty much the end of an era in Atlanta. It's very sad. It's long overdue. Matt Rule, it's going to get buried because they're not going to have a great record and they're not going to be that flashy. But slowly but surely, what Matt Rule is doing with the offense is orchestra. It's like an orchestra.
Well,
it has,
and that's
it's what you expected.
Well, that's the thing. And with Joe Brady as his offensive coordinator, who got a national championship for Burrow and a Heisman at the same time in the first overall pick, like, he's going to be a great offensive mind as a coordinator for 2 to 3 years before he inevitably gets an interview as a head coach somewhere. And right then, and until then, though, the Panthers, they're going to be an exciting offense. Like, Robbie Anderson's on pace for over 1,500 yards. Like,
they have a lot of pieces there too. They have DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. We'll see how Bridgewater gets better and when McCaffrey comes back.
Well, but also they haven't skipped a beat in the run game with Mike Davis.
Yeah,
like, he is filled in perfectly. Joe, especially for your fantasy team, but also just offensive production. Like, it looks like it would be McCaffrey out there at the same time. Like, just the way they're running the offense.
Yeah, their thing is they're going to have to build their defense up again. But I think they'll be capable of doing that. And for Dan Quinn, he's going to have to go somewhere, prove himself as a defensive coordinator again, and, see what happens. He'll get a defensive coordinator job somewhere. And I don't doubt that he might be a really good defensive coordinator somewhere again.
Definitely.
Take the head coaching responsibilities away from him. And he was a really good coordinator for Seattle. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And with that, Joe, you're up next. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. So
here we go. So what's 2 times 2?
4.
What's 1 plus 3?
4.
I know where he's going with this.
What's 10 minus 6?
4.
Justin had to think about that one.
I wasn't going to answer it.
No one was saying anything.
The Chicago Bears.
We already talked about Chase Claypool's 4 touchdowns.
Funny stuff.
Funny.
The Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This happened on Thursday, so we're a little far removed from it, but it happened. Oh, man. Touchdown Tom really just mentally and physically collapsed over there. Just what? Geriatric patient could not even count. I don't know what was going on.
That was an excuse.
That was an excuse.
It was just an excuse.
Did you see Arians was like, he knew?
Yeah,
he knew. Like, he did not cover him at all.
No.
This Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not saying anyone here, but I'm saying there's a lot of people in the media who were saying NFC championship game for this Buccaneers team. And it's like, I mean, the Bears, they're 4-1, but I mean, they are the Bears. This was Nick Foles at quarterback. This was winnable.
Yeah, these are the games you need to win.
Exactly.
If you're gonna be in that division hunt in the South.
And it's the same thing with like how we say like Rivers is gonna be up and down. With Brady now, it's gonna be up and down. We saw the week before 5 touchdown passes. Now this one he can barely count to 4 downs. But it's just this, we're going back to it. The Bucs needed a preseason, and it's showing that they still do, and they're still not on the same page. They don't know what the hell to do with Mike Evans at certain times, so
they just need to get on the same page. Like, it's one week they look, like you said, one week they look phenomenal. The next week they look like crap. Like, they need to just stay consistent. And I think if they stay consistent, they'll be that top team that people are talking about. But at this point in time, at the end of week 5, they are not that NFC Championship team that people are talking about.
No, they're a get bounced in the wild card round.
If
that. Yeah, no, agreed.
Well, I want to move to a team and a game where one team won't even sniff the wild card. And I'm surprised we're talking about this late in the podcast, but some news broke, Tuesday night, and that they were trying to move Le'Veon Bell, being the New York Jets, and he can freely move wherever he wants because they just cut him, and they got rid of Le'Veon Bell before Adam Gase. Le'Veon Bell, Bill O'Brien, Dan Quinn are all on the free agent market before Adam Gase.
Yeah, the Jets are a joke of a franchise. They're the biggest joke in all of sports behind the Knicks, I would say. It's just sad because I feel for Jets fans. I have a lot of Jets fans here in New Jersey. I bet you guys have a lot of Jets fans too. It's sad to see because they don't deserve this. You don't deserve to have this happen to a football team. But Le'Veon Bell got paid how much for like a couple touchdowns?
$28 million for 18 games of football.
Good for him for getting the bag. Honestly, like, good for him. I hope he succeeds somewhere else. But
the Jets cut their best player. It's as simple as that. They cut their best player.
They traded their best player.
They traded their best player, cut their second best player.
Cut their second best player. And now, if I'm Mekhi Becton or Quinn Williams, I got to watch out.
Yeah, because Quinn Williams still has.
Well, Mekhi Becton, they're hell bent on injuring him. They're one good pick.
Do they have like Mike Shanahan out there, like just trying to send him back out? Like, oh, the ACL's barely hanging in there. You're good.
You're good. Go back in.
Like, he would have tried to have rolled Dak back out there, if we're being honest, it seemed like. But the Jets, it's just, at what point, when is Gase going to go? Because they're going to keep him.
They deserve it.
At this point, it's like, they don't wait for the end of the year, what's the point? Because why are you still holding on to him?
Well, and what it does, if you get rid of a coach, the Texans and the Falcons, they have the ability to go to college coaches and reach out and start their search now. Because most coaches won't, take it like an interview if a coach is still in place because you don't know if they're getting fired or not. So why are you going to waste your time? There's nothing good with holding on to Gase. And on the flip side of dumping Bell, Frank Gore is your starting running back. Like
that's what they've
wanted. That's what they've wanted.
Case is weird.
I just don't get this.
He shouldn't be there. And if they go to the end of the season with Gase, that's insane. Which are the rumors at the current moment that he will be there.
I think it's just Chris Johnson because he is just a stupid owner. God Almighty, the Jets need to sell. If we're talking about a team in New York that needs to sell, the Mets finally sold. But
go Mets.
What are you trying to prove? Like, are you trying to save face? Like, you're not saving face. It's getting worse. You may as well just say we fucked up and cut bait and move on. It's as simple as that.
Exactly.
The only thing that I can think of is if they're like trying to make it look like they're, more dedicated to coaches. So no coach wants to take a job and get fired after a year.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Bill O'Brien's gonna be the Jets head coach next year.
That'd
with
be
Trevor
hilarious.
Lawrence.
That'd be. Oh no! Let's not wish that on anybody.
That's just another Joe Burrow story right there. Kid that could be fantastic.
Anything you want to hit on the Cardinals before we move along?
DeAndre Hopkins just dogged.
It was a dog.
He just ate him up. Kenyon Drake finally scored a touchdown. Whoa! Yeah.
Cool.
Cardinals need to draft a running back in this draft. They got to.
Yeah.
And with that, we're finishing the final round. Clark, you got 2 picks left before giving Jesse the irrelevant game of the week. Clark, what are you picking?
Guess I'm going Tuesday Night Football right here. We're going
really? Rather than you're leaving the feel good story for last. Okay, I see you.
Yeah, because that one team doesn't matter. But Bills Titans are legit. That's all I have to say. Titans are legit. They had a 2-week break. They could have been rusty on this break. They could have come off of this. They could have had plenty of injuries in this game too. But Titans are legit. They're still undefeated. They beat a good Bills team. They beat Josh Allen, who was one of my MVP contenders before this upcoming Tuesday Night Football game last night. And they're legit. They're that's all I have to say. They're legit. They're a legit team all around.
Yeah,
they absolutely practiced.
Oh yeah,
they practiced.
We know we did.
We know they practiced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they like.
They look better than what they did pre-COVID break. If we're being honest.
Yeah. I think. Again, I've said this before. I don't think the Bills are that good of a team. Like, they have a lot of dimensions and they have a lot of good things about them, but I still think they could be another year or two away. And if Cam Newton doesn't get COVID, I think this is the Patriots division. And if you're asking me, even if the Bills win the division, I still think the Patriots are the best team in the division. The Bills played a real team and they got buzzsawed. And Josh Allen had his worst game of the year by far. And the Titans looked rested. I'll say that. They definitely looked rested.
Yeah.
And the thing with the Bills, though, like, yeah, Josh Allen he looks good, right? And they're a few years out, but at least they're going for it. You know, like, they're committing to him. It's as good as you can get right now with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're not a bad team by any means, but they're just not. I don't think they're as good as the record shows.
They're still inexperienced as a grand, as the whole thing.
Yeah. Well,
and
you have to test the Bills by when they play against good teams, and it seems every time they play against good teams, they get a little exposed.
And the way you can kind of gauge a team is in a win, how good they look, obviously, right? But on the flip side, how bad do they look in losses? Because that's when you can really gauge a team then. And in losses, especially this one, the Bills looked terrible. The doors were absolutely blown off. And yeah, after the first quarter, this game was basically over. Derrick Henry was running through the whole defense of the Bills.
Stiff-arming left and right, just dogging everybody. Good for them. They're legit. I'm glad they proved the point. They're legit.
Yeah, and I think the Titans are the division winner in the AFC South, and I think they're the only team that makes the playoffs in the South.
Tempting. Hope not, but probably.
I hope not too, but probably.
The way Phil's playing, it probably will be. But with that being said, we're coming to the irrelevant game of the week, which takeaways from it, yes, it is irrelevant. But the biggest storyline coming out of it is a feel-good story that after nearly 2 years and change, Alex Smith was able to get back on the football field just to run into Aaron Donald.
Literally, Aaron Donald put all of his weight on top of Alex Smith, all that weight on his leg, and just like crushed him. But I'm glad to see Alex Smith back. It was more like nervous, like looking at his wife and his kids because they looked kind of scared.
The fact that they were cutting to his entire family in between plays was one of the most nerve-wracking things I could have watched in football.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely clenched every part of my body when I saw Aaron Donald blow through the line.
I didn't know where that was going at first. I didn't know what you were clenching where.
Every part of my body. But seeing Aaron Donald burst through the offensive line of the football team and almost rip, the surgery. The fact that we're still referring to it is just so stupid. But to literally almost see him, Brock Lesnar, rip off like Alex Smith's leg was frightening.
It up like
But they could have went back to Kyle Allen if they wanted to. Like, this was Ron Rivera keeping him in there. Like, he could have went back. He was clear like 3 possessions.
Got to finish the feel good story. You can't pull him out.
With that being said, do we potentially see Alex Smith start this week coming up?
Very possible. I think so.
I think he starts by the end of the year. I don't know if it's this week. I think they'll roll Kyle Allen back out there.
Well, all I know is Dwayne Haskins is the third string quarterback on this team.
Yeah, Haskins is probably done already. I think
there are apparently teams that are interested in him too. Which
he's not the problem with this team. They got blown out with Kyle Allen, Alex Smith.
Yeah. The Washington footballers are playing the New York Football Giants.
Oh, what a game! That might be
Alex Smith's going to resurrect his career in that game alone.
Daniel Jones is going to look like a franchise quarterback again.
Yeah.
The Giants are the 85 Bears, like low key, like a brick wall on defense. Like
you gave up 37 points to the Cowboys.
37 points. I mean, they're consistently like everyone, like all these Giants fans are like, oh my god, like we're like in the top 10 in yards allowed. Like
yards doesn't matter. Yards doesn't
Who
matter.
cares? Like
still giving up 27 points a game.
Like, oh yeah. You didn't give up that many yards because you guys start at like the 20-yard line because Daniel Jones just fumbled it. It's like, yeah, they don't have to go that far to score.
It's so funny, the Giants.
So with that being said, we don't have any Thursday night football to pick.
Ooh.
But we do have Sunday night football and 2 Monday night games.
Wasn't Joe right, first of all?
For what?
Yeah,
Joe was right. Justin was wrong for Thursday night football. The streak is over there. We have our new winner. Joseph, you won. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
The Bears.
You're welcome.
So I'll let you guys pick which game you want to pick. Rams-Niners on Sunday night.
Why don't you just do a random game?
Okay, fine. Pick a game you want. Go for it.
I'm closing my eyes.
Okay.
I landed on Falcons-Vikings, 1:00.
Oh, no. Falcons win, and then Zimmer gets fired.
No, I'm taking Vikings in this one. It's the battle of the crap, literally. Like, oh my god. I
think the Vikings win easily.
Me too. Could you see how the Vikings competed with the Seahawks on Sunday?
It was Vikings. It was cute.
It was nice, right? But Vikings, yeah. I want Julio Jones out of Atlanta too.
I like their colors too. I like the colors much more. I don't like the Falcons colors.
They're nice.
The Falcons all black jerseys are clean though. Like the all black uniforms.
Their new little like ATL right above the numbers.
We were talking about this last night. If they put like just human size font and it just spelled out Atlanta on the black jerseys, it would be so much nicer.
Human size, like 6 foot tall.
No, the Monday.
No. The whole jersey was just
see how on your shirt house says "Walk with Lies" in blue, like small font like that, but they put the WWE font instead. Like that's literally what they did.
Okay.
Let's wrap it up. I think that's good for the week, Clark.
Yeah, that was fun.
Give us the outro.
Thanks, guys, for listening. You know the gist. All 4 of us really do appreciate you guys listening. We have stuff planned this week. I think we have baseball that we're recording Friday, uploading Saturday. Right?
No, baseball Friday. Baseball Friday, and then we'll drop it Friday.
Baseball recording Thursday, uploading on Friday. Wrestling recap will be uploaded Sunday like usual.
And then we're finally back on a normal schedule.
Literally back until the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, in 2 weeks.
Which is literally in 2 weeks. So then we'll be off schedule again. But stay tuned for the baseball show. Stay tuned for the wrestling recap. Make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Also, follow us on our social media pages on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at @department_pod. Stay tuned to all of our stuff upcoming this week and further weeks. And we'll see you in the next episode.